I'm in my late 40s now, but there are certain memories from when I was a kid that still follow me into the quiet hours. The kind that sit somewhere deep in your head, like faded snapshots you wish you could throw away, but somehow never can. This is about one of those nights. It happened the very first time my parents decided I was old enough to stay home alone with my little brothers. It was the fall of 1991, and I had just turned 13 a few weeks earlier. We lived in a calm neighborhood outside of Brisbane, the sort of place where neighbors waved from their driveways, where kids played street hockey until it got dark, where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. For nearly a month, my parents kept mentioning how grown up I'd become lately, how dependable I was. Eventually, they figured I could handle watching Liam and Josh for a few hours while they went out. They were really looking forward to it. There was a late showing of an old comedy they used to love back in college, and they had dinner booked at this Italian place downtown beforehand. "We probably won't be back until after midnight," my mom said while straightening my shirt collar. "You're sure you'll be okay here?" I said yes, even though my stomach felt tight. I wanted them to trust me. At first, everything was completely normal. We made popcorn on the stove, the kind that pops unevenly and leaves the whole kitchen smelling like scorched butter. We watched some cheesy game shows and laughed way too hard at jokes none of us really got. Staying up late felt like breaking the rules. We left most of the lights off except for the glow from the television, turning the living room into this little safe bubble that only kids understand. Then, a little after 10:30, we heard something outside, a soft rustling from the front yard. "Probably just the wind," I said quickly, more for my own comfort than theirs. Sometimes the trees scraped against the fence when it got breezy, or it might have been the neighbor's tabby cat that wandered around at night. But maybe a minute later, someone slammed their fist against our front door. Not a polite knock, a heavy, angry pounding that made my chest seize up instantly. We all froze. Josh grabbed onto my sleeve so tight it hurt. Liam's face went pale in the flickering TV light. "Turn it off," I whispered. The silence that followed felt worse than the noise. We could hear everything now, our breathing, the hum of the freezer in the kitchen, the old house creaking. Then it happened again. My heart was beating so hard it felt like it might come out of my throat. Every instinct told me to grab my brothers and hide upstairs, to lock ourselves in the bathroom until Mom and Dad came back. But I was the one in charge. I had to do something. I moved toward the door slowly, with them trailing behind me. The front door was solid except for a few narrow strips of cloudy glass running down the side. Whoever was outside couldn't see in, which gave me just enough courage to get closer. Through the warped glass, I could barely make out someone standing on the porch. Then the handle started moving. Slowly at first. Back and forth, like someone checking to see if we'd forgotten to lock it. I didn't think, I just reacted. We kept a rubber wedge by the door to keep it open during the summer. I grabbed it and shoved it underneath as hard as I could. My hands were shaking so much it slipped twice before it held. I wanted to call the police, but the only phone in the house was mounted right next to the door. If I picked it up, they'd hear it for sure. And something about the way they kept testing the handle made me feel like any sound would be a mistake. "Upstairs," I whispered. "Now." We ran up the carpeted steps to my parents' bedroom. It faced the street, and I knew, even though I didn't want to, that we'd be able to see the porch from there. We sat on the floor together, listening. Nothing. No banging. No footsteps. "Maybe they left," Liam said quietly. But I needed to know. I needed to see. Even though every part of me said not to, I stood up and went to the window. Of course they followed. You can tell kids not to look, but fear makes curiosity stronger. The curtains were thick, with no blinds behind them. We knelt down and carefully lifted the bottom edge just enough to peek underneath. What I saw has followed me for decades. An older man stood there on our porch. And the worst part, His eyes were already fixed on that exact window, like he'd been waiting for us, like he knew we'd come look. His face was gaunt, sharp in the porch light, all angles and deep lines. But his expression was what scared me most. Not anger. Something closer to anticipation. Like he was enjoying this. He was holding a wrinkled brown paper sack in one hand, and inside it, something was moving. The paper twitched, shifted, like whatever was in there was alive and trying to get out. Without breaking eye contact, he slowly lifted the bag beside his head, then raised his other hand and pointed at it. After that, he moved his arms slightly back and forth, deliberately drawing attention to it, making sure we saw, making sure we understood it was meant for us. It probably lasted only a few seconds, but it felt endless. Josh made this small, choking sound, and we dropped back down instantly, too scared to even cry. After about a minute, I gathered the courage to check again. I pressed against the wall and peeked around the curtain. The porch was empty. He was gone. We stayed there on the floor until we heard our parents' car pull into the driveway. I have never felt relief like that before or since. We were sobbing by the time they came inside, all of us talking at once, trying to explain. My dad called the police and filed a report. Patrol cars drove past our house a few times over the next several days. They never found him. They never figured out who he was. I'm married now, with children of my own. But sometimes, when I'm locking the doors late at night, I think about that man with the paper bag. I think about how he knew exactly where we'd be, and what might have been moving inside it. I'm thankful I never had to find out. My counselor says writing things down might make it easier, but putting it into words makes it feel real. My name is Lauren Mitchell, and about 8 months ago I bought my son a gaming system for his 13th birthday. I picked up extra shifts at the clinic for nearly half a year to afford it. His dad moved out 2 years ago, and I just wanted to see Noah happy again. When he opened it, his whole face lit up. For a while, everything was fine. He asked before playing. Finished homework first. Stuck to the time limit we agreed on. He made friends online. Laughed through his headset. I thought I was doing the right thing. But slowly, things started to change. 5 more minutes became half an hour. His grades slipped from A's to B's, then lower. By September, he stopped eating dinner with me. He'd take his plate upstairs, while that blue glow leaked out from under his door. Later, I'd find the food untouched. His room began to smell. Sweat. Old takeout. Empty soda cans under the bed. Chip wrappers shoved into drawers. The curtains stayed closed. That pale light was always on. By November, he looked different. He'd lost weight. His skin looked dull from staying inside. Dark circles hollowed his eyes. When he did look at me, it felt like he was looking through me instead. His teachers started calling. He'd fallen asleep in class twice that week. His friend's mom called too. I told everyone we were dealing with it. I wasn't. At night, I'd wake up around 2 a.m. and hear him talking. Not excited game chatter. Low, intense. One night, I pressed my ear to his door. I know. No, she has no idea. I can't yet. Just let me finish this first. I pushed the door open. He was sitting in the dark, controller clutched tight. Face lit by that blue screen, eyes bloodshot. He didn't even turn toward me. Noah, who are you talking to? My team. His voice sounded flat. We're busy. It's 2 a.m. Turn it off. He finally looked at me. In that blue light, his face didn't look right. Too thin. Too sharp. Just 5 more minutes. I closed the door. Too tired to argue. Too afraid. I told myself I'd handle it in the morning. I always did. 2 weeks later, I tried to set new rules. 1 hour on weekends only. Spend time with real friends. Get back to normal life. He just stared at me. You don't get it. I need it. We can get you help. You can't fix this. My team is counting on me. If I stop now, I'll lose everything. It's just a game. You won't lose anything real." He looked at me like I didn't understand anything anymore. That night, I took the console, unplugged it, hid it in the garage storage. I left him a note saying I loved him. When he found it missing, he didn't shout, didn't cry. He just stood there, staring at the empty shelf. "Where is it?" "Put away." "You can earn it back. I need it." His voice suddenly rose. "Give it back." His hands were shaking, his whole body trembling. And when he grabbed my wrist, I was shocked by how strong he was. His fingers pressed into my skin hard enough to leave marks. I pulled free, rushed into my bedroom, and locked the door behind me. Then I called my older sister. She said the things I had been trying not to think about. Intervention, a specialist, maybe even residential treatment. This wasn't something we could ignore anymore. For the next 3 days, Noah barely said a word. He just sat in his dark room, staring at the spot where the console used to be. He stopped eating altogether. On the 4th night, I woke up and saw him standing at the end of my bed. The moonlight made his face look hollow. His eyes were wide, unfocused. "Mom, please. I can't sleep. I can't think. My ranking, my squad, they're moving ahead without me. Everything I worked for is disappearing." Tears ran down his cheeks. For the first time in months, I really saw him. Scared, desperate, completely lost. I pulled him into a hug. He felt so fragile, like I could count every bone through his shirt. "We're going to get you real help," I told him. He pulled away slowly, eyes swollen. "I don't want help. I want it back. I can't do that." His face went cold. Then I'm sorry for what happens next. Before I could say anything, he turned and walked out. I should have followed him, but I was exhausted, and I fell asleep again. I woke up to sirens. The Martins lived a few houses down from us. They had the exact same system. Noah broke in through their back window just after 3:40 in the morning. He went straight to their living room, turned it on, and started playing. When Mr. Martin found him and tried to talk to him calmly, Noah didn't react at all. Didn't even look up. He just kept playing. His hands were shaking, his eyes locked on the screen. When Mr. Martin reached for the controller, Noah attacked him. The police report mentioned phrases like animalistic behavior and abnormal strength. Mr. Martin ended up with cracked ribs, a broken cheekbone, and permanent damage to one eye. They took Noah away in handcuffs. He's been in a psychiatric unit for nearly 3 weeks now. Severe gaming dependency, acute withdrawal symptoms, possible psychotic episode. They've started him on medication, sleep aids, mood stabilizers. The doctors keep saying he'll improve. I visited him yesterday. Physically, he looks better. They make sure he eats and rests now. But his eyes still feel far away. "They won't let me play," he said quietly. "No screens at all. Do you know what that's like?" I think about it constantly. When I close my eyes, I can still see where my character is, what my squad is doing, what I'm missing out on. He leaned closer. For a second, I saw my little boy again. I'm sorry I hurt Mr. Martin. But when he tried to take that controller, it felt like he was taking my air away, like I was dying. "That's the addiction talking," I said. He gave a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Maybe. Or maybe it was the only thing I was ever good at, the only place I mattered. And you took it away." As I was leaving, he called after me. "Mom, when I get out, I'm going to play again. Sooner or later, you'll think I'm better. You'll relax, because it's the only thing that's ever made me feel alive." The certainty in his voice terrified me. That was yesterday. Tonight, as I walked past his room, I noticed a faint blue glow spilling into the hallway. My heart nearly stopped. But Noah's still in the facility, and the console is hidden away. I pushed the door open, my hands shaking. My laptop was sitting on his desk. The screen was on. I'd been looking up therapists earlier that evening, support groups, articles about digital addiction. I must have left it there without realizing. Nothing strange, nothing supernatural, just a forgotten computer in an empty room. I closed it and sat down on his bed in the dark. Earlier today, the counselor asked me what I want for my son's future. I tried to say the usual things. University, a career, happiness, maybe a family one day. But the words wouldn't come. Because the truth is, the thing I can't admit to anyone, not to my sister, not to the doctors, is that I'm terrified of the day they say he's ready to come home. Lauren continues to visit him each week at the youth treatment center. He's improving slowly, though he still struggles with intrusive thoughts about gaming. The charges were reduced due to his age and mental condition, as long as he continues treatment. Mr. Martin is recovering, but the damage to his vision is permanent. We're just one of thousands of families dealing with severe gaming addiction in teenagers. And there's something else I need to talk about. Something that happened with the people living next door. I still don't fully understand it, and I don't think I ever will. This isn't some internet myth or horror story. This actually happened, right beside us. I'd known the Patel family for around 4 years. They lived in a small 2-story house in the Gomti Nagar area, just like ours. Meena was the kind of neighbor who would always invite you in for tea whenever you passed by. Her son, Arjun, was 22. Quiet. Always in his room. Sometimes I'd see him on the balcony late at night, phone in his hand. That familiar blue glow lighting up his face, even at 1 a.m. Looking back, the signs were there months before that night. It started about half a year earlier. Our houses are so close that you can hear conversations through the walls sometimes. At first, it was normal arguments. Arjun, you need to find work. Arjun, stop wasting your time online. The usual? But gradually, her tone changed. It became strained, desperate. Sometimes, I could hear her crying. One evening in July, I was watering the plants when I heard her through the open window. Where is my necklace? I know you took it. Just tell me the truth. I didn't take anything, he said, but his voice sounded empty, flat, like someone who had been caught too many times already. The fights became more frequent, late at night. Early morning, their home developed this terrible rhythm, like a soundtrack to something falling apart. My husband told me not to interfere, and I tried not to. I really did. But I started noticing things. Men would show up at their door. They looked like collectors. They'd bang loudly for long stretches of time. Arjun Patel, open up. You think you can ignore your debts? I'd watch from behind my curtains as he peered through the peephole, frozen, waiting for them to leave. Once, Meena answered the door instead. The man showed her something on his phone, her face drained of color. After he left, she just stood there in the doorway for the longest time. Then came September 14th. That morning seemed completely ordinary. I left for work around 9. Meena was hanging clothes out on the terrace. She waved to me. I waved back. I can't stop thinking about that moment now. She was smiling. I got home around 6:30 that evening. Their house was quiet, which wasn't unusual, but the silence felt different, heavy, like the air was holding its breath. Around 8:30 I heard shouting, not the usual arguing. This was panic. Arjun, what are you doing? That's my jewelry. I need that for... Her voice stopped suddenly. Then came sounds I can't describe properly. Dull impacts, the kind that make your stomach turn because some part of you understands what they mean. Then crashing, glass breaking, furniture moving. It sounded like the entire house was being torn apart. My husband grabbed my arm. Should we call someone? I was already dialing emergency services when everything went quiet. and the silence that followed felt even worse. It stretched on for several minutes. Then I heard Arjun's voice, high, panicked, on the phone. "Dad, you need to come home now. Someone broke in. They hurt Mom. Please, hurry." He was crying, really crying. And for a moment, I believed him. I thought about going over to help, but something stopped me. Maybe it was how rehearsed his sobbing sounded. About 20 minutes later, the police arrived. Then an ambulance. Then his father, who collapsed when they carried out the stretcher. The next day, officers were everywhere. They spoke to everyone on the street. When they came to me, I told them what I'd heard. The arguments about money, the collectors, the noises that night. Did you see anyone come in or leave? No. But I heard everything. Later, they showed me footage from a street camera. It covered their front entrance from late afternoon until midnight. No one had entered. No one had left, except Arjun himself. 2 days later, they arrested him in Kanpur while he was trying to sell his mother's jewelry. He confessed. He'd been addicted to an online betting game, lost more money than he had, taken loans from lenders with massive interest rates. When he couldn't repay them, he started stealing from home. Cash at first, then jewelry. That night, Meena caught him taking her box. She threatened to tell his father, to report him, and in panic, he grabbed a heavy wrench from the toolbox and struck her, again and again. Afterward, he trashed the house to stage a break-in, smashed windows from the inside, cut himself lightly to make it look real, then called his father with that performance of grief I'd heard. I went to Meena's funeral. Her husband looked like he'd aged decades overnight. He kept saying he should have seen the signs. But that's how real horror works. It doesn't come with warnings. It builds quietly. Behind closed doors, in the glow of a screen, in desperate calculations that make virtual money feel more important than real life. I still live here. And every night around the same time, I hear things in the walls that I know aren't there. Arguments, crashes, that awful silence. But the worst part, sometimes, late at night, I see a light coming from Arjun's old room. I know it's impossible. The house is locked, empty. But I still see that pale blue glow, and I imagine him there, phone in hand, still playing, still betting, still losing.